one of the main reasons we've sort of targeted this particular place to dig is that it's associated with Priscilla Baltimore, who is one of the known founders of Brooklyn, also a very significant figure in the St. Louis region in general. She was very well known during her lifestyle as a pious woman, a woman very active in the AME church in the region. She had founded a number of AME churches, and in fact, the AME Church had plans in the 1860s to start a seminary in Priscilla's Brooklyn home, which actually would have been in this spot right here. And the overall goal of the archaeological work that we're doing in Brooklyn is to find enough archaeological deposits to put Brooklyn, or to nominate Brooklyn to the National Register of Historic Places as an archaeological site. The work that we had done previously showed that we do have intact pre-Civil War deposits in parts of Brooklyn. And what we're trying to do with this lot and the work that we're doing here is to find things that directly relate to Priscilla Baltimore, because we can then make a connection to somebody who's important in history, which is another criterion for eligibility for the National Register of Historic Places.
So we're excavating today on Priscilla Baltimore's house lot. She built a house here in 1851, and we know she lived here at least until 1866, after which she moved into St. Louis. So our goal here is to find her original 1851 home, and in order to do that, we brought out a backhoe and took off about 50 to 60 centimeters of historic fill. What's left are any holes that were dug in the ground, so we find cellars, privies, cisterns, posts. We also know that between 1898 and 1905 there was another structure built on this lot that was not associated with Priscilla Baltimore. So some of these features are associated with that later occupation, but we don't know that until we actually cut into them. And so what we're doing right now is bisecting the features and looking at the material that we find in there to try to determine the association of the feature. So here we have a privy. This is a wood-lined privy. And what's inside of it, it's not just fecal deposits, but it's also trash, household trash, and trash from the yard area, because their trash disposal was a lot different than ours today. So today we have trash pickup, you know, our trash goes to the landfill, but back then they would just put trash into any hole in the ground, any facility that had been abandoned. So far, we've found a cistern, 2, 3, 4 privies, probably another cistern associated with the 1905 house. Now, the earlier cistern that we have it's an unlined cistern. It's about a meter and 20 centimeters deep. In the bottom of it, there is a soda mineral water bottle that could possibly date to the time period of Priscilla Baltimore, but we won't know that until we take the second half of that feature out.
So in January 2013, we were successful in nominating the Quinn Chapel AME Church to the National Park Service's Network to Freedom. And the Network to Freedom is sort of a network of historic sites that documents Underground Railroad sites across the country. And in the oral history of the town, the AME Church was actively involved in concealing fugitive slaves, and the AME Church was well known, regardless, as being an abolitionist church. And so the Park Service accepted that nomination, and it is now listed on the Network to Freedom. So for the first time, this designation acknowledges Brooklyn's role, which we know from other historical sources, um, the role that it had to play in the Underground Railroad.
This has been a production of the Illinois State Archaeological Survey.